Hello and welcome to the second part of my series Marketing in 100 Minutes. In this series, I'm covering the book Marketing in 100 Minutes I wrote with my friend and fellow colleague, Professor Dr. 𝗦𝗪𝗢𝗠. And this book has been translated in many languages and launched in different kind of countries, the latest being India. Check out this QR code to get access to the book and also other resources such as my innovative online Master of Business Administration program, which you can complete in only 8 months. We stopped talking about the fundamentals of marketing management, and this is where I want to continue, only with 2 slides, but these are very compact and differentiated slides actually, because the first slide is to give you an overview about the marketing plan. So how does marketing look like? We talked about marketing policy and the marketing mix and the marketing strategy already, but how does it all fit together? Most people associate marketing simply with advertisement. But that falls short, as you can see on the slide. And in marketing planning, it is a bit like strategic management. So we have a very sophisticated and detailed process that we are running through. First, it starts with the company's purpose, mission, and vision. This is also referring to the golden circle of Simon Sinek, who says that the purpose is the core piece in the middle of the cycle. And this is what is the reason for the existence of the company. What is the purpose? For example, my purpose is to build a better world through education. That is my purpose. And then, of course, we need to have a vision. Every company needs to have a vision. So this is what my colleagues Colin and Prof call the long, hairy, audacious goal. So where do you want to go in 10 to 30 years? And I want to make, my vision is I want to make high school and higher education available to more people. I want to make it more inclusive and bring it to all kinds of social classes, regardless of where they are coming from. And this is my vision. And how do I want to do that? This is the mission. So how am I connecting the purpose with the vision? And the mission is I want to educate leaders of tomorrow and transform and optimize their potentials in order to build a better world. So this is how it fits together. So this is the starting point of every organization. Kawasaki, it's not the inventor of the motorcycle, but the former chief evangelist at Apple and now one of the leading heads behind Canva. And he always stated that you need a forward mantra. And this is very important to have because a forward mantra excels or expresses in a nutshell what the business is all about. For example, Audi, Vorsprung durch Technik, or Philips, Sense and Simplicity, or underneath the Miele logo, always better, right? So these are some examples of mantras that emphasize what the mission of the company is all about. And my mantra, my business mantra, is listed on the top right-hand corner of the slide, optimizing potentials. Not only the potentials of individual people, but also the potentials of corporations. Now, after the starting point, the purpose of the organization, the long-term vision and the mission, how to get there. So this is the why, how and what in Simon Sinek's golden cycle. We need to look at the external environment. we need to assess the internal and external environment. And how do we do that? In marketing, we have basically two tools that help us doing this. And first, we need to look at the macro environment. And the macro environment we are accessing by looking or using the so-called pest analysis. The pest analysis. And the pest analysis is an acronym, and it stands for political, economic, social, and technological factors. Sometimes we also read pestly, whereas the L represents legal, and the E, the environment. But these can also be included in the political factors because, for example, environmental protection legislation is a political factor. Now, we need to look at those kind of factors in order to better understand our environment in a macroeconomic perspective. Also, we need to look at the so-called value net or microenvironment. And the microenvironment is comprised of the value chain of the corporation. So if I'm having my company here, I'm having suppliers, I'm having on my level competitors. This is the horizontal thing. And then, of course, I'm also having, hopefully, customers. And this is the microenvironment of the company. We are also influenced, of course, as a company by other stakeholders such as media and interest groups, for example, works council, stuff like that. Now, the microenvironment we can access and assess using a tool which is called the 5 forces analysis from Harvard professor Michael Porter. The 5 forces model. It is comprised, like the name is indicating, of 5 forces. The first force is intensity of rivalry. Intensity of rivalry. So how many competitors are in a given market? The second one is the power of substitutes. So how many substitutes are in a given market? The more substitutes there are, the less attractive a market segment becomes, of course. Now, a substitute is very important to understand. It's not that a smartphone coming from Apple is a substitute to a laptop computer, but in a more wider context. So, for example, a substitute for Netflix would not be HBO or Hulu, but also the London Zoo, for example. That is also a substitute because how you want to spend your free time and how you want to be entertained. It's very important to understand that Professor Porter is not limiting it to closed products. It is always a demand market perspective that we are looking at. That is very important to understand. And the third factor is the power of, or better, the bargaining power of buyers. So how powerful are the buyers in a given market? So if they can choose from different kind of companies, they can select and they can be more price sensitive, for example. And the fourth one is bargaining power of suppliers. So if there are very, very many suppliers, of course, the market is more attractive for a company because they can choose among different kind of suppliers. And the fifth factor is the threat of new entrants. So is it easy, threat of new entrants, is it easy to step into this kind of market segment? And Michael Porter calls it the market entry barriers, for example. If there are many market entry barriers, and a market entry barrier, for example, is a strong brand, the market is less attractive to step into, but more attractive if you're, of course, in the given market. So the 5 forces model can be used in order to assess the attractiveness of a segment. Now, this is one part here of the second step. This is the external environment. But now also we need to look at the internal situation of the corporation. How do we do that? Of course, there are different kind of models, but the most comprehensive model, most easy to use model is the so-called 3C model, or the competitive triangle. The 3C model is comprised of 3 C's. First, here's my company, and here we have competitors, and then we have customers. Now, this 3C model looks at my company from the perspective of the customers, and I may have, in relation to competitors, a differential advantage, which is coming through cost factors. So for example, because I mass produce products, I have a comparative cost advantage. So this is a strength over competitors, as seen from the customer's perspective. I can also have an advantage via so-called value drivers. A value driver is, for example, a strong relationship I have, or a strong brand, for example, or a quality perception. So the 3C model helps me to identify strengths and weaknesses, because a strength is only a strength if it is an advantage compared to competitors as seen from the customer's perspective. That is very important to understand. And then we are coming to the third step. And the third step is the SWOT analysis. Everybody knows about the SWOT, but the SWOT is often done wrong. Why? Because most people are making the mistake that this, first of all, the SWOT, what is the SWOT about? The SWOT is about strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, most people make the mistake that they say, oh, a strength, for example, if I'm Burger King, is that I'm opening 24/7, for example, or that I have a very systematic approach to serving food and products. But that is wrong, because McDonald's has the same. So this is what we call a point of parity. I say it again. A strength is only a strength if it is a strength compared to competitors as seen from the customer's perspective. And this is where the competitive triangle helps us to identify those, same as weaknesses. So very important to understand is that this is the borderline here. These are always internal factors which are coming from the 3C model. Whereas those opportunities and threats are coming from the macro analysis. They are coming from the pest analysis. Excuse my handwriting. They're coming from the pest analysis. For example, an opportunity may be the demographic shift that we encounter in many companies. It is an opportunity. It is not now, it is not clear whether this can be taken as an opportunity. This can be capitalized by a respective company, but it is an opportunity. An opportunity can also be simultaneously a threat to an organization. For example, the growing trend towards healthy eating, or what we call the lohas lifestyle of health and sustainability, is imposing an opportunity as well as a threat upon fast food chains just such as Wendy's or McDonald's or Burger King or Kentucky Fried Chicken. So that is not a mistake. So we are listing strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in the SWOT analysis. Whereas, I say it again, the strengths and weaknesses are coming from the competitive triangle, whereas the opportunities and threats are coming from the past analysis, are coming from the macro analysis. They are always exogenic factors, exogenic. They cannot be influenced by the company. And then most companies stop and then they have a SWOT, but they don't do anything about it. And now we have the 𝗏s matrix. That's very important to understand. Or we call it also enhanced SWOT matrix. Why is it called enhanced? Because now we are listing the threats, opportunities and threats like this. Opportunities and threats, strength and weaknesses. And this is called the enhanced matrix. Here we are asking, how can we use or capitalize on our strength, right, to exploit the opportunity that the market is providing to us? Second question, strategic question, how can we repel the threats using the strength we have? Next question, how or which opportunities are we missing out because of our weaknesses, and which threats are we exposed to because of our weaknesses? So this, you see that this is a very detailed and sophisticated analysis. Most people do the SWOT in isolation. They just think about strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, but that is wrong, because you need to do the other tools here beforehand, right? Like we explained in detail in our book. The next step then for any company is to do STP, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. What is that? Now, segmentation, targeting, positioning. First of all, the S, segmentation, means that you're looking at a market. This is not a country, this shall be a market. And you're segmenting a market which is heterogeneous, because customers are having different kind of requirements and different kind of needs and wants. We are segmenting a market first based on so-called segmentation criteria, which can be demographic, or they can be sociographic, they can be psychographic, they can be based on lifestyle. So let's use a simple one. We can do age, sex, anything like that, education. Everything can be a segmentation criteria, and there is not one way to segment a market, but many different ways to segment a market. Very simple example, Doro, they are doing mobile phones for all people. They segmented the market for mobile phones just based on one criteria, which is age. And they say, okay, maybe there's a market for, I don't know, for very small children, 5 to 6, 6+. But then they say, okay, what about 70+ people? What about the people in this world being 70 years and older? Do they want to use iPhone, or what is their problem with a mobile phone? And then they've said, okay, they don't want to install apps or connect to the internet, etc., etc. It's all too complicated. They want big buttons, for example, easy to read. They want to take a picture and send to their grandchildren, for example. And so Doro did a phone which does precisely that. Very inexpensive, not smart screen, very easy to use. It even has an emergency button at the backside of the phone. So that is one thing here, segmentation. Then the second step is here, targeting. Targeting means you're looking at every segment of the market and assess how attractive this specific segment in fact is based on certain criteria. You can, for example, again, use the 5 forces model to do that. to look at the attractiveness of every segment. And then you choose the segments you want to be in, this one here, and also the ones you don't want to be in, or you want to step out, for example, as well, because they are not profitable, they are not attractive for you. And the last thing, the P, is positioning. And positioning means that you're then applying a separate marketing mix here, marketing mix, for the segments you're looking at. So you're designing specific product with a specific brand, you're having a specific price, you're having a very differentiated communication strategy and distribution strategy for that particular segment. That is what you do in segmentation, targeting, and positioning. And then you have to think about the strategy and the strategic marketing plan. What is that? What is the strategic marketing plan? What is strategy? Now, in strategy, basically, very simply speaking, explained in 10 minutes, we are looking at 2025, for example, T0. This is where we are. So the first question in strategy is, here, this is the time axis, and this is profitability. For example, can be net income after tax. It can also be market share or something like that, or ROI, return on investment, whatever. Now, if we take the NIAT and we say, okay, the first question is, where are we? Where are we in terms of net income after tax as a business? Second question, where are we coming from? From which kind of profitability or market share are we coming from? Third question is, for example, here, where are we heading towards? If the market develops like that, where are we moving towards? Fourth question is, where do we want to be? Because we don't want to go down, we want to go up, right? Fourth question is, where do we want to be in terms of net income after tax? Fifth question is then, how can we close the gap? How can we close this kind of gap? And the sixth question is, which KPIs, key performance indicators, am I using to track whether I'm on the right way or not? And in order to close the gap, we have one major tool, which is the Ansoff matrix. And the Ansoff matrix is looking at markets / customers, old, new, and it's looking at products and services, old, new. So, if I want to grow a company, every company wants to grow customer base or net income after tax, profitability, turnover, whatever. So if we try to do that on old markets where we are with old products, with our current products and portfolio, we call that market penetration. Market penetration. Try to penetrate the market better. Then the next step, what we do is we try to look at new customer segments or new markets. And that is what we call, or what Ansoff calls, market development. We also can call that customer innovation strategy if we are trying to look for new kind of customers for similar products. Now, here, market development means not only, like I said, to simply export your products to another country, or what we did to launch your product, the same product, marketing in 100 minutes in India, but also what we did with the 100-minute series in general, because we were also targeting with this kind of textbook a new kind of customer segment, right? Because it's so compact and easy to understand that even pupils in school are writing to me, are commenting on the YouTube that they bought my business administration book or marketing book or strategy book in 100 minutes, and they don't know what they want to study, but this is a cool book. Now, this is what we call target group innovation strategy. Now, the third option is then, on old markets with new products, we call that product development. Product development. And the last one, so product development is really launching new product. And the last one, new products on new markets, we call that diversification. Diversification, right? And we can do that if we're looking at the value chain, if we move vertically. So next to the customer, for example, it's called forward integration, or we can also do backward integration. We also can move on a horizontal level if we buy other kind of companies on the same kind of a level, or we can have lateral diversification as well, which is stepping into totally new businesses for us that we are not used to. Now, then, next step is then the tactical marketing plan. And here, the marketing mix comes in. I already talked about that being comprised of the 4 Ps. I have also the last slide now, which I will show you, which is further elaborating that. So I'm not touching base now on that. And the 7th step is the marketing budget. Of course, we need some kind of expenses to realize the goals we set at the beginning, and we need to implement it, and we have the feedback loop to the beginning. So this is basically how a marketing plan looks like. And this is the last slide for today's session. Marketing mix is comprised of the 4 Ps. And this model is coming from the 60s, had been invented by McCarthy. And it's very easy to remember 4P model. Everybody talks about the 4 Ps. Now, I'm not talking about this anymore, but I'm shifting to a newer, more contemporary model here. In the 1990s, there was Lauerburn, and he suggested that as marketing, and we've seen that in the first session, is not about selling products, but it's about putting the customer's needs and wants first and their problems, and then design products and services and solutions. So he suggested that the value, the consumer value, the customer value has to come first. And he's reshaping this 4P model into a 4C model, which is comprised of the customer value. Place turns into convenience. So how convenient is it to acquire the products and services? Price turns into cost, and promotion is turning into communication. What I even like better is kind of a recent model, which is called the SAVE model. It's easy to remember, SAVE model. It's coming from Professor Atkinson and others. And I mentioned that before in the first session already. Consumer value here now turns into solutions, because that is what we're really doing. We're looking at the problem of a specific customer group, and then we are inventing a solution to tackle that. Convenience gets to access. Cost turns into value. It's a much nicer word, value, because it's also value proposition we are talking about. Customer value proposition, you remember the CVP. And communication turns into education. This is also more nice, because in the first video I mentioned that it's not to educate the consumer, but it is more encompassing than just communication, because it is involving content marketing. And I was mentioning that before. Content marketing is to design content that is meaningful for the target audience in a wider sense, which is not directly necessarily product related. Okay, this was it. The second part of this 10-part series of marketing in 100 minutes, covering my book and the book of Professor Dr. Sven Hollensen. Thanks very much for your attention. I hope I'm still on time. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and recommend the channel to all of your network. Cheers very much. And to the Indian viewers, Namaste.